According to the Gospels, Jesus had many virtues. We can see them in the way he lived his life. He couldn't hide them. If we had been able to follow Jesus around with a camera, we would have had albums full of pictures of him practicing his virtues, such as love and compassion, mercy and forgiveness, courage and fortitude, patience and temperance. Jesus showed us the way of God, and the ideal way for humanity. As one person wrote, the virtues of Jesus Christ represent a perfect model of moral excellence and divine character. And we can see them clearly on every page of the Gospels, including the Palm and Passion stories. But of all the virtues Jesus had, the one that might be the most visible is the one that doesn't seek the spotlight. I'm talking about meekness. Surprisingly, this is the one virtue that shines through the most. Meekness might not be what we think it is. In the Bible, meekness is not weakness. Instead, it is power under control, like a strong, trained horse that chooses to submit to a rider. A meek person holds back their power rather than acting with aggression. We see this most clearly in the final week of Jesus' life, beginning with his humble journey into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, and later in the week when he refuses to fight back during his arrest, torture, and execution. He shows a quiet meekness all the way to the end. Of all the virtues Jesus exhibits, meekness is the only one that he directly claims describes his own character. In Matthew 11, verse 29, he says, he is gentle and humble, meek in heart. This is who he understands himself to be. It is the most visible of all of Jesus' virtues. And earlier in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5, Jesus includes meekness in his list of beatitudes or blessings. The meek will inherit the earth. Clearly, it is important to him. He demonstrates it over and over again in touching the untouchables, resisting temptations of power, avoiding fame, absorbing hostility without retaliation, and washing feet, which is probably the most iconic, visible reminder of Jesus' meekness in the Gospels. Meekness doesn't seek the spotlight, but it can't hide either. Jesus can't keep it under wraps anymore than he can keep his body under wraps. That's one of the great ironies about the meekness of Jesus. The other great irony is about this, that no one expects a Messiah to highlight this particular virtue. The people hope for a Messiah with military might rather than meekness. They want a Messiah to liberate them politically rather than to promote peace. They wish for a Messiah who will show power rather than patience. What they get instead is a Messiah riding a donkey rather than a war horse, a Messiah who heals behind the scenes, who silences demons who want to publicize him, and who tells people not to spread word about his miracles or his messianic qualities. They want a Messiah who becomes a spectacle, but they get a Messiah who embodies the Spirit of God. Jesus can't hide it. His virtue of meekness becomes the most visible part of his life and his ministry. It is as visible to us as the scars on his hands and feet. He can't hide it because it is the essence of who he is. The question for us on this Sunday, this Palm Sunday, as we consider the last week of his life is, do we even have enough meekness to hide?